Everybody, Logan Phillips here, the state representative over in District 24. Every session, I create a document that I use to track my legislation, the bills, things I'm working on, as well as all of your bills, to see how I'm voting and to be able to answer questions when my constituents calls. Now, the last couple of years, I've always received a lot of requests from the EAs and LAs for this document to help them working in your office and track your bills, keep notes, that kind of stuff. And so I figured I would just go ahead and make it accessible to everybody. So I'm going to show you my document. I'm going to show you how to use it. You're free to modify, change, do whatever you like with it. Don't use it, use it. I know we all use different processes. This is just something that I created specifically for the way I think. A little bit of background on me. I have been teaching Microsoft Excel for like 16 straight years. So of course I'm using a lot of Excel functions in here. For this, it's the legislative tracking worksheet. Now I do give a version of this to my constituents. It is typically very scaled down, but this is my big sheet, and it would actually even be scaled down a little bit for you guys. So the very first thing you see is the dashboard. This is information about the bill right from the beginning that's searchable. So if I was looking up one of my bills from the big database, HB 3166, I can actually enter it into the bill number, hit enter, and it will update all my fields to show exactly what this bill is. It gives me my title, any description that I've put on, any notes that I've covered. It will actually look up the author of the bill, tell you where their office is located, the office phone number. Now I do keep a spreadsheet for cell phone, that kind of stuff, but you'll see here if you've put that information in, it'll even tell you what their cell phone email is, so you can directly contact them. Now for this sheet, I typically keep it on my laptop or my tablet. That way as I'm walking around, you'll see me scrolling through it. Especially if I'm looking at a bill, wanting to take quick notes, I can jump over and see it. So we have the enter bill number is the only piece on this screen that you'll actually enter any information on. Everything else pulls from the actual data sheets, not from anywhere else. This does cover the personal bills, so if it's a bill that you are running, you can actually put in your bill request number, the staff that's assigned to it, what committee is assigned, how the committee voted, if you had a requester, a certain group or whatnot, and the priority. Of course, here in the House, we only have the 8 bills, so this would be like my #1 priority bill that I have run this year, and then I rank them down below. Now on the right hand side, we actually had the vote statistics, and I do have a couple sheets here of all legislation filed for this year and all legislation that was filed and ran last year, as well as how I voted. So I can pull my vote statistics and the vote statistics of the legislator for the House, or I can do it for the 2022 session as well. So as I'm tracking through the year, at the end of the year, I'll be able to see how I voted, where I voted, that kind of stuff. And so I tell you this as just an overview. My vote is how I voted, if it came out to vote once or twice, how the Senate voted, how the governor, what he did with it, does it have a shall, an enacting clause, an emergency, and what was the vote in the House, 64 to 3, whatever that looks like. Now, so this is the dashboard. Again, the only thing you use is this enter bill number, and you actually type in SB or HB in the bill number to update to all the information. Now for the worksheet, you'll be using 2 different worksheets, the legislation 2022 and the 2021 session. You can see here the legislation 2022 in the top right hand corner. I have a Alt-D-O. So if you click anywhere on your table and you hold down your keyboard, the Alt button, hit D and then O, it's actually going to bring up a form editor immediately. So like with this bill, HB 3166, I can put it in. Let's go to criteria, actually. Switch to criteria. HB 3166. It will actually pull it up here, and I can modify this as I need. So I can put in the votes, how many votes, what my description is. I can put in any notes, and it will actually update my title or table for everything. So I don't have to go scrolling through, sorry it's late in the day, this big table to find each of the bills. Now I do try to make this table interesting, so a few things to highlight. One, the links on the left hand side will link directly to the original filed bill language. If you put in things like the name of the author, you'll see down here as I'm scrolling through, it will search and highlight. Let's get down to the P's since I'm looking at my own name. There you go. It will highlight the author's name exactly in one color. So if I change this to Pfeiffer, you can see it will actually highlight all of his names. So this is really good if you're sorting by bill numbers. Then you can actually highlight the author's name instead of just random information. Past that, this works on a few different pieces. This is a fillable form. The interest means it's my own interest. Do I have a constituent interest, a lobbyist interest, or an other interest? So I can choose whose interest in the bill, then I'll put that into my notes. The co-author is CO is co-author. Have I co-authored this bill? If not, if I've chosen to co-author it, I'll just hit an X. Does this bill have a shall? Yes. Or is it a shall bill? Yes. Does it have an enacting clause? Yeah. Let's see. Then you can ask the acting clause doesn't have an emergency. And the House votes here on the right hand side, this is where you put in the votes. So 64 to 13. It will actually highlight and tell you if the bill has passed with that number or not. So if we have a 50 to 13, you can see that that bill has failed. Or 34 to 13, whatever that looks like. And so as you're tracking the votes, you can actually come through here. And if you're an LA or an EA, you can do this for your reps or your legislators. And then my vote, I come in here and say either yes or no. There is a drop down. Yes, no, took my privilege, or I missed the vote. So you have 4 choices on your vote. So you can see I put yes, I can put no. Yes will be highlighted in green, no in red. And I believe missed is nothing, and EA is blued out. So things are color coded here so you can quickly see them. And then of course the Senate would be just your vote. It was the title on, the governor signed, vetoed, whatnot. And then on the right hand side you have your descriptors, you have notes, bill request number, staff assigned. Let's get over here. This is filterable, so if you want to just look for a certain author, you can just look for all the bills from one specific author. You can see here I've searched just for my Phillips bills, and then with my just personal bills, I can then come through and actually update the information on who's the bill request number, who's the staff assigned to me, what committee is it in, those types of pieces. All right. Now, I do the same thing both on the 2022 session as the 2021 session. It's the exact same table. It works the same way. What I have done on the 2021 session is I have asked staff to pull my entire voting record for all votes taken, and then I have merged that into this document so that I can see exactly what I voted on, what I didn't vote on, and then, of course, any bills that came up, I have the records there. So if let's see this Bush bill, HB 1001 2021. I was excused. It had a good vote of 73 to 7, so it passed. And now we can see that this bill is not live anymore. It's gone on and done everything else. It's up to you if you want to put the rest of the information in. This is something that I'm still working on accomplishing. I guess from there, I do have a few other sheets you might see. We have legislative members, which has the direct contact to their page, their office numbers, their phone numbers. And of course, I keep a breakdown of what chairman they are, as well as their email addresses and their cell phone numbers. And now I'm not going to willy-nilly share my cell phone number list with you, but I'm sure you guys have yours as well. And then there's House staff, the same thing. It's just a simple table with House staff for everybody that's going on. If you're a Senate member, I would just suggest you flop in your Senate staff or create a new tab, whatever you're going to do. Executive Judicial is the same thing. The rest of my tabs are personal to my own individual office. So if you want to use this, you're going to see the dashboard, which again, the only thing you modify is the enter the bill number, and the legislation will be this year. 2021 will be last year's, and everything else is a little bit extra. Guys, use it, don't use it, it's really up to you, but I figured I'd send it out and let you have an opportunity if you so wanted to. If you have any questions, comments, or if you want to modify it, just give me a call. My cell phone number is 918-849-1512, and if you have any help with it, and this is to the EAs, the LAs, everybody, gladly ask. I will help you fix it, modify it, however works best for your office. This is just another tool in the arsenal that I'm giving you. Personally, how I use this is when a member of my constituency calls me and says, hey, I want you to vote on HB 3177. I tell them that, it's one of my constituents, and I put in my notes who, why, when, where, and what. So guys, feel free to use it. Don't use it. Whatever you need, just here if you need me. Again, Logan Phillips, 918-849-1512.